We went to my sister's friend's apartment. Once we got there, we were just eating, laughing, playing games, watching movies, having a good time. And all of a sudden, while I was over there, the cramps started. And they were bad. They were very, very bad. I've always had really bad period cramps since I have had a period. And it felt like bad period cramps times 10. It was terrible. It was so bad. Hey y'all, today I'm going to be talking about basically the part 2 of the 16 and pregnant story. This video is going to be about when I miscarried at 16. So if you haven't watched the 16 and pregnant video, I would watch that one first, because if you don't, you're going to be a little bit lost in this one. There's a lot of details in the 16 and pregnant story that you need to know to understand what's going on here. Before I start this video, I just want to, I guess, give a little warning, disclaimer, trigger warning, that if you've been through this, and even if you haven't been through this, it could be a little, or it could be very triggering, because I'm going to go into details, and it will be a little bit graphic. And that's just so I can explain to y'all basically what I went through. So here we go. So after my mom and I got home from the Planned Parenthood appointment, where they couldn't see anything, they couldn't see the baby on the ultrasound, when we got home from that, I started bleeding, and I hadn't been bleeding before that. And well, it was like just spotting at first. It was just spotting, so I wasn't really worried. And I told my mom about it, and I was like, Mom, I'm bleeding. And so my mom was basically like, just wait it out and we'll see if it gets any heavier. Sometimes it's normal for you to spot during your first trimester. Really, throughout pregnancy, it's okay to spot, as long as it's not heavy bleeding and as long as there's no cramping along with it. And I wasn't having any cramping at this time, so I was like, okay, I mean, it's probably nothing. So I just waited for a couple hours, and it wasn't really getting heavier, but it also wasn't stopping. So I just put a pad on, and I was like, it's probably okay, you know. I just went to Planned Parenthood that same day too, so I was like, if anything was wrong, they would have told me there. So my sister, who was in college at the time, I mentioned her in the last video. I don't know if she called me or if she was already at the house or what, but she asked me if I wanted to hang out with her and her friends. They were having like a little party get together that night, the same day that the Planned Parenthood appointment was and everything. And I was like, yes, I want to go, because I want to get out of this house, because I was stuck in the house and I was really down and depressed and I did not want to be there. So I was like, yeah, let me go and get my mind off of everything. We went to my sister's friend's apartment. Once we got there, we were just eating, laughing, playing games, watching movies, having a good time. And all of a sudden, while I was over there, the cramps started. And they were bad. They were very, very bad. I've always had really bad period cramps since I have had a period. And it felt like bad period cramps times 10. It was terrible. It was so bad. I was starting to get worried, because my mom had told me before I left that spotting is okay, but once you start to cramp, that's when there's a problem. So I kept it to myself because I didn't want to make a scene. Plus, these were all my sister's friends, so I didn't want to seem like the annoying little sister who has something wrong with them, and so my sister has to leave and take me. So I just kind of didn't tell anybody at first. I went to the bathroom to be alone for a second to kind of check on everything and just have a moment to myself. When I went to the bathroom, I decided to check my pad to see how my bleeding was doing. And What I saw when I looked at that pad and I pulled it down, it still haunts me to this day. And this was 7, almost 8 years ago. So once I pulled my pants down and I sat on the toilet and I looked down, the pad was soaked in blood. And the whole day before that, I was only spotting. So I already knew something was wrong. Also on the pad was like, I'm sorry. It was like a little gray ball like this big was on my pad. And inside that ball was my baby. I'm sorry, it still hurts to this day. And I can still see it in my head exactly how it happened and exactly how it looked. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get myself together really quick. So, I was 16 and I didn't know what to do. I don't think anybody in that situation knows what to do when they're pregnant and they're bonding with this child inside of them and they're getting excited for this child to come, and then they see it just sitting there not alive, and you know it's not alive because it's not inside of you anymore. And I hate so much that I did this, but I didn't know what else to do. I wrapped it up in some toilet paper and I flushed it down the toilet. And I wish I would have kept it and taken it home and buried it or something else, but I was 16 and I was scared and I didn't know what to do with it because I didn't have a purse with me. I didn't want to put it in my pocket, and I don't know what would happen to it. And I knew that it wasn't alive because even being 16, I knew what a miscarriage was. I knew that babies cannot live outside of the mother until they're a certain amount of weeks, and I was obviously far from that time. So I don't remember if I told my sister right then or if I just kept it quiet. I honestly don't even think I told anybody that at first, that I actually saw it come out. I think I just told them that I was bleeding a lot and cramping, and I was pretty sure it was a miscarriage. That brings it back to the ultrasound at Planned Parenthood. The reason why she couldn't see anything was because I was already in the process of miscarrying. So the baby was no longer, I guess, in my uterus. So when I told my family, they were definitely there for me, and they helped me out, but I could tell they were also relieved, which I understand because I was 16 and the baby's dad was a 20-year-old, and I get why they would feel relieved, but it hurt me so bad because I was so devastated and heartbroken. I honestly don't even remember what the baby dad, my boyfriend at the time, said about it all. I don't remember his reaction. I remember he was sad. I do remember that he was sad, but I also think that he was kind of relieved too because we didn't have to do the abortion, which I wasn't going to do anyways, but he didn't have to worry about going to jail. So I think he was a little bit relieved since he was stressing about all that. We ended up breaking up not too long after that, and that was pretty much it with me and his relationship. So My miscarriage, it all happened naturally. I've had another miscarriage where I've had to get a D&C done, but with this one, I did not have to. It just came out on its own, and after that, it was just done, and it was over with. I'm a big believer in. I'm not very religious, but I'm a big spiritual person, and I believe in spirits and angels and everything. I also believe that spirits can communicate with us. And I believe that a lot of times they communicate with us in our dreams. I actually have a couple of stories about people who passed who have sent me a message in my dreams, but I'm actually going to do another video about that. But I'm going to mention this one in this video because it pertains to this whole situation. I don't know if it was a couple of months later or what. I had a dream that I was like in a mall, and it was like, I don't know if it was flooding or if there was a tornado or a hurricane. It was some type of natural disaster that was happening at this mall, and I was alone at this mall. It was a place that I've never been to. So when whatever was going on, I didn't know what to do or where to go. And in this dream, a little boy told me to follow him. When I was a kid, I had buck teeth really bad. I had to have braces for 2 years. But if I can find a picture, which I'm sure I can because my mom has a million pictures, I'll put it in right here. Hold on. And what's funny is this kid in the dream had like the same teeth I did as a kid. So he told me to follow him, but he had the same buck teeth I did. He had blonde hair, which I don't know where that would have came from. And his skin tone was darker than me, so he looked biracial, which my kid would have been mixed if I hadn't miscarried. So yeah, he told me to follow him, and I was confused. He was like a little 7-year-old boy in this dream. And when this little boy saw the confused look on my face, he said, "You can trust me, you're my mom." So I followed him through this, it was like a maze of hallways and stuff like that in the back of this mall. And sure enough, he led me out of there into safety. And we had to like climb up this thing. It was crazy. The dream was crazy, but he led me out of there and he led me to safety. When I had this dream, I was still young. I don't know if I was still 16 or if I had turned 17 at this point, but I remember I was still in high school when I had this. And so that confused me a lot about how he was coming to me when he was 7 in the dream, and not as a baby, but I feel like spirits are able to do that, and they're able to come to us however they want to come to us. I honestly do feel like that was my son that I saw in the dream. I feel like that would have been the baby I would have had if I didn't miscarry. I did not want to wake up from that dream because I just wanted to talk to him. I was confused, but I just wanted to talk to him and ask him questions and everything. I'll always remember the face in my dream, even if that wasn't him. I'll always remember that. At the time, I kind of blamed everybody and myself for me having the miscarriage. Now that I'm more educated and I'm older, I know that sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes there are things that do cause miscarriages, but sometimes you just can't help it. It just happens. It could be nothing you're doing wrong. It might just not be able to survive. It's natural. It's life. It's a heartbreaking part of life. There's things you can do to reduce the chance of you having a miscarriage, but there's nothing that's 100%. You could do everything right and still have one. So it wasn't right for me to blame myself and blame other people. And I blamed other people because I felt like all the stress that was put on me and all the stress I went through is what caused it, because I was crying so much and stressing and like freaking myself out. And I don't know, I just used to blame everybody else for it. But now that I realize it's not anybody's fault, it happened naturally. I have 2 kids now, and I've stressed in their pregnancies, and I didn't miscarry them, so I can't blame it on myself or anybody else. And anybody else who's going through this or has went through this, you need to remember that it's not your fault. There's nothing you could do to stop it, which it's terrible and it sucks, I know, but that's just what it is. So that's really the whole story about this miscarriage. I got actually a tattoo. It's not how I wanted it, but it doesn't matter. I got angel wings on my arm right here, which I'm going to get them worked on. I want them to go all the way down, because now since I got this tattoo, I had another miscarriage, and so I kind of want to add on to it to like commemorate both the miscarriages. So yeah, that's really it about this video about my miscarriage at 16. Thank you for watching me. Sorry that I was so emotional, but of course it's a very emotional subject, and it is hard to talk about even almost 8 years later. It still hurts like it did then. Anybody else is going through this, just try to keep your head up. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but just try to keep your head up. My next video, I believe, is going to be about when I was 17 and pregnant. I was 16 and pregnant and 17 and pregnant, but hey, life happens. When I was 17 and pregnant, I was pregnant with my son, who I have now, who will be 5 next month. So, yeah, I think that'll be my next video. So if you want to see that and how that happened and all that mess, subscribe, watch for my next video, because that's what it'll be. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.